Hi ladies, it's Hillary, owner of Free Babes Handmade and blogger at I'mLikeBrave.com, a blog all about living an uncommon life that you love with your family through entrepreneurship. I personally love having one-on-one coffee dates with other entrepreneurs that I admire, and so I thought it'd be really fun to start a weekly series where I get to interview creative entrepreneurs and you get to listen in. From these interviews, you will learn from their successes and their failures, get behind the scenes access to see how they built their business, and you'll walk away with valuable insights that will help you take your business to the next level. So grab a cup of coffee and join the conversation. Enjoy! Hi guys, it's Hillary with I'm Like Brave, and I'm so excited to be interviewing Katie Krysil of Fancy Free Finery. Katie's the owner of Fancy Free, and she makes the cutest felt flower crowns for babies and toddlers, and she also makes garlands and just really whimsical, awesome accessories for kids. She has over 25,000 followers on Instagram, and she's approaching her 2-year mark in business. So thanks for being with us, Katie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so before we start talking about business, tell us all about yourself.
All right, so I live in southern New Hampshire. We live right on the Massachusetts border, about 45 minutes outside of Boston. So I live here with my boyfriend Ian, and I work out of this closet-sized studio, which is in our apartment, and it works for me.
Awesome. What'd you do before Fancy Free?
I used to teach preschool. I would teach the 2 and 3-year-olds, so like the really little guys, which is currently my clientele. So it's cool that even though I miss like that fulfillment of like deeply touching a child's life, at least I still get to see these photos and interact with kids, which is like was a big part of my life, and I'm glad it still is.
It's really awesome that you still get to be in that like kid space. For sure.
Yeah, it's hard. Like the transition at first when I was able to quit my job, it was like, oh man, like I miss those relationships, but since then I've been able to actually form relationships with my customers instead of just like flying through the emails at the end of the day. Like I have the time to form relationships.
So tell us a little bit about how you started Fancy Free, or like where did the idea come from?
Right, so I have this craft studio, and it really is like a closet. I don't know what they would have used this for besides a closet, but so I had a craft studio that I was filling up with all sorts of stuff like that I've collected from multiple moves. And Ian and I have been in this apartment for like 4 years, so I was finally like had time to settle in and explore all the stuff that I had just been moving from place to place as I was, going to college and growing and all that stuff. So finally I was like, this is too much stuff. I decided to honestly scroll through Pinterest and be like, what can I make with this stuff? Came across a tutorial for how to make flowers out of paper, and I was like, oh, let's try this out of this felt. Turned them into a headband, listed on Etsy, my first time ever opening an Etsy shop, and like they sold, although it was just my family members and maybe a couple strangers. I think for me it was like the first time I got tagged in a photo on Instagram or someone sent me a photo, I was like, whoa, cool, like I don't even know this person, a stranger bought my product and is happy about it. So then the momentum kind of thing, it just took off. So.
Yeah, so when you started just as like a hobby, a way to get rid of some craft supplies.
Yeah, and like I actually was looking back, I want to send a picture after, but I was looking back at my old Instagram feed last night, and like I'm so embarrassed of the first ones that I made. They're terrible, but I even sent them. I had resources back then. They were like, oh, I know a photographer in Maine, you should send her this product. So then I got the good quality photos and just kind of learned right away ways to promote myself. So.
Well, I feel like that's how we all started. I mean, besides like a few exceptions, like we all kind of just start and it gets better as it goes.
Accidental, right? I laugh because if I had known this was going to be, my job now, maybe I would have picked a different name. Like, it's like.
Yes, I would have picked a different name, and my company would not be called Free Babes, because you know what happens when you Google that.
Right? Well, I even think, I think that's why nobody can tag you, honestly, because free,
right. But
people have a hard time tagging me, too. I think it's the word free. But then, of course, with you add babes to it. It's like... No.
Yeah, that's totally Oh, man, that's awesome to hear how it developed. And then what made you want to quit teaching?
That was like the hardest decision. And we went back, I guess like starting December of last year is when I was like okay, this isn't just a hobby. I'm making comparable to what I'm making teaching, and this is getting a little bit stressful, but like I'm gonna try to do both. And then it just like kept getting, I just didn't have any time to do like anything for me. It was work, then work on the business, and then go to bed. And like my relationship with Ian was suffering. Our house was a complete mess. I was like, why am I doing this? Like, and it was because I am passionate about both jobs. I did love teaching. I love the business. So it was like, can I do it all? And we kind of went back and forth trying to see like, could I do part-time? Could I work 2 to 6 in the afternoon? But it was just like, I need to go all in on something. That's just how I am. I like to just be the best at whatever I'm doing. You know, like just fully embrace it. So.
Well, and what's that like for you now that you're not teaching and this is your full-time business? Like, what's the coolest part about your life now?
Well, I'm super introverted, so I think first of all, like that's what's been the best is not having to wake up at 6:30 every morning, get right in my car, go to work, and like greet everyone, no matter how I'm feeling. Like not being able to honor if a part of my life is busy, I still have to go to work. But I like now I have time to be like, oh, if I don't do this now because I have to clean my house or do laundry or like live, you know, then I can pick it back up later. So I think that's time flexibility. Like I'm a hard worker. I like working, but kind of like being forced to do it on a schedule didn't work for me. So
just the freedom and the downtime and the ability to like go with the flow, I guess. And like if you're feeling really motivated, work a 20-hour
I usually am, but it's like right. But certain days it's like yesterday I was done work around 2. I didn't have anything else to do, and I like that I can just stop working. Whereas if you're trapped at an 8-hour-a-day job, there were times where I remember when the kids would have nap time. At my old job, they would take like a good rest, and I'd just be so bored and be thinking of all the other stuff like I could be doing on my business, and I don't know. I don't like being trapped in something. So.
Totally. Yeah. So what does it look like these first, well, it's almost 2 years, but what does it look like, the growth for you? So from the point when you first listed that first headband on Etsy to now, like tell us kind of the waypoints and the timeline.
Yeah, so March of 2014 was when I sold my first headband. I kind of just always reinvested money in, so the first headbands were like eco felt from Michaels that, you know, like really thin and just like not good quality. So then I reinvested in better quality felt, and always was just like when I got orders, I would go and be like, oh, what new colors can I get? And then so then over time it just grew slowly throughout the year, and then like I said, December, the holiday season, I think I just kind of understood taking product photos and like knew who to reach out to, and some of the early adopters or whatever, I had a little following on Instagram that would share a lot of photos, and they had like a pretty good pull within their friends, and their friends would buy. And then I guess March of, like, so a full year of the business, like let's say in March of 2015, I was making the same amount of as my teaching salary, and I let a few people know. And there was my business coach now, her daughters went to my school. So I sat down with her. She has a background in branding, and her husband, who is a successful, like he makes 6 figures entrepreneur. Like I think he might even have $1 million company. So I sat down with them and kind of like they looked at the business and mentored me, and it made me feel like, cool, I actually have something that people like care about, and like this is a viable way. So I don't know, it's just when someone else was kind of invested, I was like, okay, all right, like this is what I thought, but I'm glad that you agree. And she kind of helped me to like define product lines and, you know, like work on the business instead of in the business, that kind of thing. So like figuring out what was making the most money and like just making systems. And since then it's just been like off. So.
That's awesome. And that's seriously what this is the first time we've talked in person, just so everyone knows. But like, that's what I love about you the most, because I follow you on Facebook and I feel like I know a lot about your journey. But you're constantly like seeking out resources, whether it's reading books, whether it's like a business coach. Like, you're a hard worker, and a lot of people just like continue to do it by themselves. But you are like, I feel like your growth has gone so much faster because you're willing to seek out help.
And putting yourself, I'm not the type of person that really this sounds bad to say, because I know I come off as being like a warm person, but when it comes down to it, like, I like to be alone. So for me, reaching out and finding resources and meeting people, it's not really what I like want to do innately, but I've seen so much benefit in it, so now I just put myself out there more often. Like, I like to meet, Wednesdays are my meeting days. I like to meet literally anyone who wants to meet. I'm like, let's meet, like, let's talk about what you do, what I do.
Yeah.
So,
that's awesome. And like you make yourself uncomfortable, and we all know when you make yourself uncomfortable, you grow.
Yeah, so.
That's awesome. So tell us, like, what, my blog is all about, I'm like Brave, like building a business so that you can live a life that you love, not just for the sake of building a huge, massive empire. And so tell us, like, what is that why for you? Like, what do you envision your life being like through Fancy Free?
Right. So I think that goes back to just the fact that I am a homebody. I like being home. I like my family. You know, it's just me and Ian, but my family. You know, these are things that I value. Just quality time. That's something I'm really into. So for me, it's just that flexibility and being able to live a fancy-free life, like do things on a whim that you want to do, be flexible, be spontaneous. I mean, for now, I'm still like, I'm not to the point where I could leave the business and it would like thrive without me, but I like to work, so it's okay. But I just like being able to do things at my own pace. I think that's really my why, just being able to honor like the type of person that I am instead of doing like what society tells me to do, kind of thing. Like, I don't know.
Totally, that's inspiring. And you don't have kids yet, right?
Yeah, no, I don't have kids. So.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, I do have like probably much more flexible life than others, like where I really can do like whatever I want, honestly.
Yeah. So. But so I'm sure like your why will continue to evolve once you have kids as well, because they'll fit into that picture of the life you're creating.
Right, and that's like. Yeah, I feel like it's the perfect time now because I'm still working from home. But I feel like as I grow, I've been thinking about this lately. I'm not sure if I want to get to the point where I'm not working out of my home. But that being said, I don't want to stop growth if it keeps going. So it's
that is a really good point. Before moving on to more questions, I'm glad you brought that up, because I deal with that a lot. Like, being an entrepreneur and building this business, like, you really have to know where you want to go with it. Because if you just respond to growth, like, next thing you know, like, you have, like, a brick and mortar, you're tied down, and, like, you're like, I've created another job for myself.
Yeah.
Here. But you really have to be clear, like, it's not bad to be in your home forever. But you just have to know, like, what do you want for yourself?
Right. I don't know. My business coach is really, she's the one who pushes me to do, like, more and more and more. Because for me, once I hit, I mean, like, what I'm making now, I never thought I would be making by selling headbands. Like, I never thought that was possible at all. So for me, that was enough. But like, you don't want to settle. So I'm trying to figure out how can we. I don't know. So.
Well, and you know the book that you recently read, the Rework Book?
Yeah.
That, like, the whole purpose of that book is kind of like sometimes there's like two, I mean, okay, on the one hand, good isn't necessarily, they say good's the enemy of great, and you want, like, to get better all the time. But on the other hand, this book says sometimes where you are right now is exactly where you need to be. And if it's working, you have freedom. Like, if you have everything you want, you can kind of put the brakes on. You don't need to keep growing.
That's kind of where I'm at. It's like, with very minimal marketing right now, I'm maintaining like a pretty steady clip, and I'm like, all right, this is cool, and I feel like there's gonna be a point. I'm just waiting for, like, what is it? What's that quote? Like, the other shoe to drop or whatever. I'm just like waiting for one big share, and then like it explodes, because I feel like I'm on the brink of like getting super busy that I can't handle it. So right now I'm just like, no, this is totally fine for now.
Yeah, because that of course comes with its own set of challenges.
No, I know.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so what would you say has been your biggest failure so far, or just something that really hasn't worked, a mistake, and what did you learn from it?
So many failures, right? There's so many failures, but it's okay. Like, I remember one I shared in our group about when I started doing the nylon headbands and sent out. I was like, yes, so many orders. Send these out. Send out all of the things. Then I get a bunch of emails that everyone's headbands are too tight because I'm, cutting too close to the bottom. And so it's like literally like 3 to 4 emails a day for like 2 weeks. This happened. And it's just like, I put myself out there too soon because I was excited about this product, and like, good thing I did, because otherwise, maybe I wouldn't have even done it. But that's one. Another one is not collecting a social security number from one of my seamstresses, and then she left, so I can't claim any of.
Oh yeah.
That's something like that's something that recently happened. Like, just figuring things out as you go. I was like, oh, we have a good relationship, so I'm not gonna do this paperwork yet. I'm gonna just wait till the end of the year and then move the hoops.
Well, and it's a good lesson to learn though, because like now you will.
Oh, now I hand them the packet right away. I know. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to be like super strict and business-like, but if you can sign this, So
how'd you handle the headband thing?
Well, I don't know, I'm always just very, very sweet when I respond. Like, I feel like I admit defeat, or like I admit that I made a mistake often, and kind of just explain like, here's why this happened. I don't know, because it's hard to get criticism, and for even still, like, when someone will send a photo of like a thread that's exposed, and I'm like, oh man, you're right, I messed up. So I just kind of try to be human and say like, you're right, I missed it, and I'll send you another one. Like, I'll always just send another one.
So on the headband ones though, since you obviously put a lot of work into the flower that actually was on it,
I actually just sent the whole new. Sent the whole new thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like, they could have. That's the thing. Like, I'm crafty, so I would have been able to just like cut and glue it onto the new headband. But some people, I feel like, don't have glue guns, so I was like, eh. And I feel bad, like, collecting the ship, I don't know, making them ship back. I need to get more strict and, like, put more policies in place. But for now, I just pretty much like to make people happy. So I'm like,
and you can't go wrong with that. I mean, I feel like it's good to kind of like over-deliver and always just give back more than you expect. But I was just curious about logistics, like.
No,
what you did.
Well, I mean, like, honestly, like, my margins are pretty good, so it's not like a huge hit to send something, but so like I tried a few times to be like, do you have a glue gun, and people don't want to do that, you want your new things.
I know, trust me. Okay, so what would you say has been your biggest, what is your biggest business strength? If you were to teach a college course on entrepreneurship, what would it be called? Like, what would it be about? And give us a little mini lesson.
This is like really an interesting question, because I still don't feel like I could, like you compare yourself to other people. I still don't feel like I'm like the expert of anything. I mean, I'm pretty, social media I like to do, I'm pretty good at, like, because I'm on social media all day. So I'm like scrolling through Instagram, adding people. I think I could probably mentor someone on that. Also, I think in general, I'm realizing more and more that even though I'm not comfortable being a leader, I think that I actually do have like pretty strong leadership skills, and I can see myself doing like similar to what you're doing. Maybe not entrepreneur coaching, but kind of just like life coaching in general, and like motivation. I'm kind of interested in that whole. I like the Myers-Briggs tests a lot, so I find myself like always trying to figure out like who people are and how I can help them like communicate their needs better, kind of thing.
No, that's awesome. And like, I know we've said it before, but I think we're the same personality profile in Myers-Briggs, which is like only 3% or less of the population or something.
But it's like super analytical, so for me it's like, I don't know, like, I guess another strength is that I'm good at making systems, so as long as like a system is in place, like everything runs smoothly, so I don't know, that kind of thing. Just like organizing things and analyzing. I don't know.
I think we're the same person.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's cool. That's why it's been cool to watch like your growth, and kind of be like, oh, okay, I see what she's doing. Like,
Well, and actually the Myers, INTJ or something, that personality profile is like said to be a really good either clergy member or like teacher or counselor. It's like people who are in their head all the time.
Mastermind.
They really like
Like, that's why, like, you like to read and I like to read and just, like, continuously finding out more about business because you just like to be in your head by yourself half the time and...
Lifelong, like a lifelong learner kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think about how, so I didn't go to school to become a teacher. I went to school for visual art, and I couldn't get, for art education, I couldn't get a public school job, so I just happened across a preschool teaching job because I had the qualifications. So I was like, okay, I'll try this. And even though that wasn't something I was passionate about when I started, it was just a job, I learned so much about that just because, like, if I'm doing something, I want to, like, know a ton about it. So it's like, I think it's good. Yeah.
Cool. So what would you say is the best business decision that you've ever made?
Well, I mean, quitting my job was really like, that was real. I can see the immediate, like, growth that had, just being able to focus all of my attention on something. But I mean, prior to that, I guess it was like that meeting with Lisa and Ken and just the initial, like, sitting down and talking about my business and, like, treating it as a viable, like, thing that I had going instead of just thinking of it as a hobby. Like, that was really validating for me to sit and have that meeting and, like, hear Ken, who I respect as, like, a, you know, the typical businessman with, like, a suit and tie and all that, be like, no, you actually do know what you're talking about, even though it was just stuff I was, like, spewing from Shark Tank, you know, like, fulfillment and all that stuff. He's like, no, but you do know, like, you do understand it, so.
Yeah, so bringing in, like, it's that step of bringing in a third party to really, like, I don't know, like, look into your business and affirm to you that it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And just, like, to bounce ideas off of, because it's pretty much just me and Ian gets sick of hearing about, like, babies and headbands.
Yeah. No, that you bring up a really good point. Like, it's really, really valuable to have that sort of sounding board in a community when you're building your business, because you should trust your own instincts and your own decision-making abilities, but to have someone, like a third party that's a little distanced from the emotion of your business, is really great.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, so what's the most exciting thing that's ever happened to Fancy Free Finery?
See, this question's hard because I just appreciate, like, every like, little thing I think is so cool. Like, I mean, one cool thing that happened is for Halloween I was on, like, Jessica Alba's feed.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
Well, like, the bummer is that I wasn't tagged, but that's okay. Like, that was still a cool moment. Like, I take a lot of screen caps of things, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I mean, even just, like, I just think it's awesome that we can make money, like,
it is.
doing, well, I would be doing this anyways, you know, like, this is what I always would do. So.
Yeah, like, we live in a really, really cool age for business, because with Instagram and social media, there's, like, a lot of the barriers are no longer there.
Yeah.
For, like, wide reach, connection with celebrities. Like, it's really cool, actually, that anyone can get their product out there.
It's
like, without money.
And, like, from my house, like, that's the thing. I'm like, it's interesting, like, the ebb and flow of business. Like, sometimes I'll wait to do certain types of work until Ian comes home so I can just be sitting on the couch, like, doing work, but I'm, like, I'm, like, hanging out with my family. You know, it's, like, it's just really, it's cool. I don't know.
It is cool. It's a good word for it. So where do you go, like, you obviously don't have a background in business, so where do you go for business advice? Like, where have you learned all that you know currently about business from?
Right. So, first of all, it was Shark Tank.
Okay.
When I first started my business, I would work on the grounds, like, nights and weekends, so I would always watch Shark Tank. It was, like, always on CNBC. I don't know. Now I've seen every episode, so I had to move on to something else. So now I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to Entrepreneur on Fire, Elise Gets Crafty. Like, those are my two big ones. But and then I read a lot of books. So recently I've been really into learning about branding, because we're trying to do a new logo and, like, figure out the branding message, or whatever. That's what Lisa's really pushing for me. So I'm Googling, like, books about content writing or, you know, copywriting, even just, like, the verbiage that you use in your, so, like, these are things I would have never even known that you need in a business, but I don't know. I feel like that was the only way that I at first I didn't even know what questions to ask, because I didn't know anything about it. So, like, reading books or watching Shark Tank or whatever at least gave me buzzwords, and I was like, oh, I don't know what that is, so let me look it up. And then I don't know.
No, it is incredible to surround yourself with all of like just podcasts and watching shows like that. Like pretty soon you feel like they're your friends and you're like having high level business meetings and then you're like, oh wait, I'm by myself.
No kidding. John Lee Dumas, I get like, I'll like talk out loud to myself if I don't agree with something. I'll like be like, no, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have you ever practiced your intro if you were ever to be interviewed?
Oh no,
that's the question.
No.
Okay, I have.
I'm sure. Oh, right? If you were on, I don't know. The elevator pitch or that kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
I'll just do my best. That's why I like.
Ignite?
What?
When he says, "Are you prepared to ignite?"
Like.
Yeah.
Oh my eyes. Ian hates it. Like, this is how, because like how he says you are the sum of the top 5 people that you spend your time with. Well, it's true because like I use all of his like John Lee Dumas-isms and it's what are you like? Are you the next John Lee Dumas? But it's true. It's like I think it's helped a lot of my relationships too because now I'm like I like to motivate people. I never really knew that. I kind of just stuck to myself, but now I'm like, oh, I have this awesome like what does he call it something bomb like knowledge bomb or something.
Yeah.
Like,
knowledge bombs or whatever.
I just want to like share them with everybody. So
yeah. No, it's the whole thing. You're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with. Like I truly believe that as well. And like there's a lot of power to virtually hang out with business owners on the web because you just stay in the conversation. And if I ever go through periods where I'm like in a funk and I'm just kind of just upset and not like feeling powerful about my business, like I realize I'm like, oh, I haven't really listened to anything lately. And so then I just get my head back in the right space and it's like a different story.
Well, even like developing a workflow as I started working from home. So it used to be I would just sit on the couch and watch TV while I worked. Well, that's not really. Then I found like once Shark Tank ran out, now I was watching like the Kardashians, and just I would feel on the days that Ian would come home from work and I was watching the Kardashians all day, I would be in a bad mood. So like realizing those things.
Yeah.
Just trying to surround myself with like positive things and productive people.
Totally. So just to recap, Shark Tank, Entrepreneur on Fire, Elise Gets Crafty. That's a great one.
I have my business coach.
And then you just read tons of books. Tell us what's your favorite book?
I also had one meeting with a SCORE mentor. I don't know if you know about SCORE. Mm-hmm. So SCORE is a system of retired entrepreneurs. That was okay. It's just that I felt like I'm really into like specific conversation, and that was like too broad for me. It was like you really don't know what's like going on with my space. Like he was just I don't know what he was selling, but he was in sales, but it was like some kind of machinery or something.
Well, this is a really new phase of business. Like media entrepreneurs, like social media stuff. Like I even met with a guy who runs like a $20 million business, and he was asking me questions about my blog and how I plan to monetize it, and I was answering it, but he just like didn't get it. Yeah. He didn't understand what it's like nowadays with business. Right. It's slightly different. Some principles are the same, but a lot of this stuff is like a whole new era.
Yeah.
I think.
So it just, I don't know, it was exciting, especially one of the people that they matched me up with was like the founder of Staples. I was like, whoa, this is so cool. But I mean, it was just basically the information that I get from these SCORE meetings is it's just very general. And I went to like a tax meeting recently, and I wanted it to be really specific to me, and I guess it just wasn't. So.
Okay, and then before we move on from this question, tell us, out of all the books you've read, what's the one book you'd recommend for everyone, and why?
I actually find myself like referring to the Purple Cow book by Seth Godin, and I had thought that I could never get into Seth Godin books, but I read that book, and I was like, yeah, I really dig this book. I mean, there's a quote from it. Something along the lines of like, the reason why it's hard to follow the leader is because the leader was the one that did the remarkable thing, and that remarkable thing is already taken, so you can't do it. So I find myself bringing that up a lot. I mean, I feel like a lot of people lately have been talking about that whole like copycatting and imitation and stuff, and it's like it's a bummer, but you have to know that you're a creator and you created this thing, and you're not just constructing something that someone else did first. So, I don't know.
Is it a book about leadership?
It's a book about I guess it's kind of like creating a remarkable product that speaks for itself. That's
Okay.
kind of like the gist of it. Because
Cool.
I'm all about like just like the quality craftsmanship, and like people get the product and they're hooked right away, and I don't have to do much. You know, it's just like
Yeah.
so.
Awesome. Cool. I haven't heard of that one yet, so I want to read
Yeah.
it. Okay, so if you could have lunch with any entrepreneur out there, big or small, who would it be? What would you guys talk about?
My answer to this is that I would literally like to meet anyone, which is so strange because I used to like to just hide in my house after work, but I think it's beneficial to talk to anyone who's like passionate about what they're doing. I don't know. I think you can learn from anyone. I mean, there's obviously like Susan from Freshly Picked, I think is like, just because she kind of like paved the way for everyone, I think that like that would be cool to meet her, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Awesome. Cool. And then what are the big plans in your future? What are you most excited about right now? Kind of what do the next 5 years look like for you?
Yeah, that business plan, the 5-year business plan, we're working on that. I don't know. It's like I'm trying to branch into some other like party supplies or
cool.
nursery decor. Like we're trying to see what else we can do. That I guess that's like kind of where I'm at, and just trying to set more product lines and see like what other markets I can reach and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Maybe like a blog on
Yeah.
our website of something, but I don't know.
Awesome.
It's hard for me to like think ahead. I kind of just like to. I like that I've grown organically, and I kind of just like to take it as it comes. So
Yeah. So you're thinking of like new products.
yeah, new products. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just been so surreal so far to see like how this has grown. So I mean, I'm sure like ask me in 6 months and I'll be like, whoa, all of these new doors opened up,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I kind of just like I like keeping things kind of up in the air so that if something cool comes along, I have the time to do it instead of like I don't know.
Yeah. Are you interested in wholesaling at all?
I don't know. That seems like the logical next step, but I feel like that I would need a space for fulfillment if I did that, or I would have to like. I would be require giving my seamstresses a lot more work. Caitlin, my head seamstress, is always trying to like, you should be here, and I'm like, oh, but it's like, but this is fine too. So I don't know.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. So where can we find you on the internet?
So I'm on Etsy, so fancyfreefinery.etsy.com, Instagram at fancyfreefinery, also Facebook /fancyfreefinery.
Cool.
We have a .com, but I don't use it yet. I haven't invested money into making a nice website, so it's kind of there. It's just there.
That's like me. I had one for like 4 months just sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, that's such an expensive project, so I'm kind of like waiting until, I don't know. That is the next step though, because we're trying to do the blog thing, so that'll come next. But
All right. Well, okay. So what parting words do you have for us, for all the entrepreneurs already that are watching, and then all of the ladies out there who are considering starting something for themselves?
so I guess I would say just start, because that's what I did. I mean, I think like being an accidental entrepreneur is pretty cool. Like just start. Chances are you'll look back like I did and be like, whoa, this is terrible. But I mean, you won't grow or change if you don't just do it. Just do the thing. So
That is great advice, Katie. Something that I do this a lot actually. People who are successful on Instagram, I will scroll all the way back to their start. And I do this to so many people because I want to see like, what did that look like at the beginning? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, that looked just like me. I could totally be there in a year. So you see the slow progression. Yeah, and you realize a lot of people just start.
Yeah. And that's a good idea too of just, I think that's how a lot of us have learned, is just by watching other people do it.
Mm-hmm.
So noticing what you like on someone else's Instagram feed and not copying it, but just like understanding like how that fits in with your aesthetic and like just defining, I don't know.
Yeah. Totally. Well, thank you again for being so open with us, for sharing your story and just the behind the scenes of your business that you've built so far. You've done an awesome job, and I know that everyone loves your flower crowns, including me. And I hope all of you guys watching have really learned something valuable from Katie, and you can take at least one thing away and incorporate it into your business. So thanks again, Katie.
Awesome.
And I hope you guys all have an awesome week. Bye.